Let's resume the meeting. Well, the topic under discussion, I will now defer to the legal advisor for information. Legal advisor? Of the electrical? Well, for the issue that we were discussing, I would defer to the legal advisor. Well, I have spoken with the chairman. The FS, the Financial Secretary, has made some remark saying that government officials will not answer questions asked by the 4 legislators whose authority has been challenged in a judicial review case. The legal advisor gave legal advice on this issue. Please be patient and listen to the legal advisor. Thank you. There are some court cases. The administration has taken out judicial reviews against 4 legislators. The proceedings have just started. The court needs to grant leave before the judicial review proceedings formally commence. I know that in relation to Ms. Lau Siu Lai, she's involved in a judicial review taken out by a member of the public. The case has been granted leave. And in relation to the administration's judicial review, the court is considering the application for leave. So from the perspective of the law, I understand that the administration said that they have received legal advice in this regard. But before we see the legal advice of the administration, our preliminary advice is that the 4 legislators are still legislators. Well, unless there are other proceedings against challenging the authority of the legislators, and as I've said, the proceedings have yet to commence because they're still awaiting leave from the court. Well, the legal advisor of the LegCo has made it very clear. So those who have raised their hands will continue to ask questions. Well, there are 6 to 7 members. Each will be given 2 minutes. Is that okay? Dr. Kokaki. The second member. Sorry. Would you please read out the list of names? Kokaki, Fernando Zhang, Dennis Kwok, Hui Chi Feng, Wu Chi Wai, and who else? Charles Mock, Ray Chan, Edward Yiu, and Alvin Young, Tanya Chan. 2 minutes each. Dr. Kokaki, just now the FS made a remark. I find it extremely regrettable. Yesterday you said that you talk about freedom and democracy is Hong Kong's core value, and we have beautiful scenery. But I don't know whether you have just spoken from your heart. You are the FS and you are a suspected candidate for the CE. Well, we've heard from the legal advisor. The leave for judicial review is yet to be granted, and you, on behalf of the administration, refused to answer questions from the 4 legislators. This is contempt of the LegCo, and if you do that, you are an accomplice because you share the view of C.Y. Leung and Mrs. Carrie Lam. How can you allow Hong Kong's core value be damaged? You were talking about the important core values of Hong Kong, that if we get embroiled in these fights, this will drag Hong Kong down.
And you swallowed that. How can you be accountable to the public? In the coming few months, Hong Kong people are desperate. The only glimpse of hope is maybe yourself is still with some conscience left. I don't know whether that's the case. You still have a chance. After we have spoken, you really have to respond. There is no need for you to refer to Carrie Lam or Rimsky-Yun's directives. You are also a principal official. You went to Beijing with the monetary team last week. There is no need for Hong Kong to continue to be polarized in this way. We don't want further splitting. What you do here, well, there's our last hope. Next, Dr. Fernando Zhang. Turn on the microphone, please. Under Article 73(5) of the Basic Law, it is our duty to raise questions on the work of the government. 6. To debate any issue concerning public interests. We're exercising our powers and functions enshrined in the Basic Law, and the FS is here to tell us that he is not going to answer questions from some members here who are being sued by CY Leung, trying to disqualify their status. But as our legal advisor said, you haven't obtained leave yet. Well, even if there is a leave is obtained, in common law we have presumption of innocence, and you treat them as if they were no longer legislators. This is against all legal bases and principles in Hong Kong. Furthermore, as you said that you would give active consideration to run the CE race, and still you are still operating in a very restricted frame. Now, if you really aspire to be the next CE, you should show us some courage. Do not listen to your boss. Do not just read out your line to take. Show us your real colors. Show us sincerity. Such a practice is against common sense and the rule of law. So what can you do here in this council? At the very least, you don't have to be that obedient. Now, if you insist, there is no way we can continue. We'll not allow you to be so contemptuous to the council. Mr. Dennis Kwok. FS, I'm sure you know for sure that what you're doing is wrong, and you're damaging the core values of Hong Kong, our procedures and the Basic Law. I'm sure you know. I hope your conscience will tell you that what you are doing is wrong. As said by members, some members were allowed to retake the oath with the leave of the President, and they are legislators here exercising their powers and functions under Article 73 of the Basic Law. If you say outright that you're not going to answer their questions, this is definitely wrong, and I'm sure you know it. I hope you and your team will not bow to the directions given by CY Leung, the CE. If you follow his direction not to answer questions here, can you really live up to your responsibility? You've been a civil servant for more than 3 decades. If the FS refuses to withdraw his remarks said at the beginning of this debate, I have no option but to move an adjournment motion. Because as said by our legal advisor, these legislators are still legislators. If the FS doesn't withdraw his comments, then I have no choice but to move an adjournment motion. I beg to move. Mr. Hui Chi-feng, if this FS is here not to answer our questions, this is ridiculous. I don't know how we are to go on. What if I file an application tomorrow to question the qualifications of all 68 members here? There is no need for us to have any meeting. You have taken the lead to ruin the rule of law in Hong Kong. And if you are to be deceived, this will make us a laughing stock. You're wasting our time. You said that if not for the remarks, if not for your refusal to answer questions from these 4 members, would be discussing the budget consultation already. No one want to talk politics today. We just want to talk about the economic situation of Hong Kong, and yet you have taken the lead to challenge the council, and you are causing a rift within this council. So how are you going to discharge your function as the FS, and how can you be the future CE? Mr. Wu Chi-wai, thank you. The FS gave us the message that he would toe the line given to him by the CS. Well, as a public officer, even though you have received instructions, you can still exercise your free will and your free judgment and answer questions from members. Article 37 gives us a very sacred function, and that is to monitor the work of the government. And if you are going to follow the statement of the CS, this is very disappointing. If you, as the FS, is taking this line, we can expect the same from other accountable officers. Is it true that for members who have already got their status confirmed cannot raise questions on the work of the government? Are they not to expect any answers from accountable officers? If yes, then we lose our powers and functions, and we cannot discharge our function required of us under the Basic Law. So I echo Mr. Dennis Kwok. You should withdraw your comments. All members here have been confirmed by the President. Pending any ruling by the court, they are still legislators. I hope you can confirm this position. Otherwise, there is no way we can continue with this discussion. Is it true that for all meetings there can be no proper discussions? Are you seeking to paralyze the council? If yes, you have taken a very bad lead. You have set a very bad example, and all future meetings of this council will be futile. Mr. Charles Mock, FS, you enjoy very high popularity rating, meaning that the public have very high expectations of you. By the same token, you have a big responsibility. You are asked by your boss to do this. Obviously, they are trying to influence the election. They would like to shift the focus of the election. As we all know, on the 11th of December, there will be the EC subsectors elections, and a competitor or your boss expects or requires his competitor to say something so outrageous. All of us here expect you to stand up for your own right. In your blog, you talked about diversity and core values and rule of law. This is a direct blow to the rule of law in Hong Kong. You have to stand up. You can just ignore those instructions and ask our questions. At the very least, you should resign. You said in your blog that most people take the middle of the road approach. There aren't too many people who are really radicals. Then you should not be hijacked by your very radical boss. Even the pro-establishment camp are saying that this is a big issue, and all of them are not here. They don't support this move. Why should you continue to support your boss? Perhaps C.Y. Leung treats you as a potential competitor, and as part of his campaign, I don't know whether you regard him as one of your competitors. This is a really wicked. And you really have to stand up for yourself. You have to protect yourself. Next, Mr. Chen Chi-chun. Thank you, President. I don't know whether the FS is a victim or an accomplice here. In fact, after the court closed session yesterday, DOJ filed an application, and then the very first meeting of this month, of this week, the first meeting is the FA panel. First, I hope the FS can give us a copy of a speaking note so that we can have basis for voting. I read your blog yesterday. He said that if we do not stand concerted and united, then everything will be counterproductive, and the competitive edge we enjoy today may be lost. And I think this is a classic demonstration of what is meant by counterproductive, how we are losing our competitive edge. CY Leung has abused the procedures, not just for this FA panel, which will be aborted in future. All panel meetings and even see question time by the same token cannot be convened if this statement by the government is not withdrawn. CY Leung has started this non-cooperative exercise with the LegCo. There aren't any leave for the jail yet. Actually, private members have also filed a number of JRs, and leave has not been obtained. If this week they refuse to answer questions from 4 members, next week they can add it to 8. I don't know how we can continue to operate. The FS, of course, may say he has no right to withdraw that comments, but he can choose not to follow that direction. We will all welcome that. You cannot say that you can continue to ask, and if the official refuses to answer, let it pass. We will not allow the meeting to go on if this is the attitude. Mr. Yu, thank you, FS. I'm one of the members. I am Edward Yu, one of the subjects in the JRs of the government. I've always respected you because what you say is more or less in line with my manifesto, and that is for Hong Kong to succeed. We must be reasonable. We must convince people by reason. Now, you do have the duty to answer my questions raised on the government, because I am acting in accordance with Article 73(5) of the Basic Law. I've been confirmed by the President of this Council that my oath-taking is valid, and legal advice has clearly pointed out that since there is no injunction from the court or any leave for the JR yet, then as a matter of jurisprudence, I can see no reason why you can refuse to answer my questions. And you, according to what you said, you only had legal advice. You don't have any legal basis. So we want to convince people with reason. Then for the benefits of Hong Kong, if you really want a better future for Hong Kong, I hope you would withdraw your comments. And lastly, I'd like to quote an example for the Hysan case. The developer lodged a judicial review against the town planning board's decision on the Hysan development. I'd like to ask whether the DOJ has issued any legal advice for the statutory power of the OEZP to be set aside, and why has the administration waited until the ruling by the court to overturn it? Mr. Alvin Young, this morning I want to congratulate the FS because he played, he showed his loyalty in a very brilliant manner. That's even better than his potential competitors. He showed his loyalty to his immediate boss, CY Leung. Whether he was sincere or not, he has comprehensively and followed or told the very hard line of CY Leung. Well, as said by a legal advisor and some members, the decision was based on a part of the legal partly on legal advice, but a private citizen, Leung Chek-kin, has also filed a legal advice to challenge the validity of CY Leung's oath-taking in 2012. And is it true that the government is very sincere in following the decision or respecting the judicial review? I don't think so. Mr. Edward, you just quote an example of an OEZP involving Causeway Bay. There were cases when JRs were won by a member of the public, and yet the government continued to shift its goalposts. I'd like to know whether there are two sets of law in Hong Kong. When it pleases the government, it's law. Otherwise, it's not law. Everyone is equal before the law, and the government is just like any other applicant in front of the law. How come the administration can refuse to answer questions from members that are under a judicial review by the government? I urge the administration to change its mind now. Ms. Tanya Chen, to be followed by Ms. Sari Lee. Thank you. The FS is here. He has just planted a bomb. Before we adjourned, I said to the FS that perhaps he is being tricked by his boss. Although it was ready after court hours, a JR was lodged, all because of this FA panel, so that the FS could have the opportunity to make this wonderful speech that he was not going to answer questions from 4 members. I must condemn such an act because it is an utter disrespect of the basic law and also powers and functions of members. Now you have to understand that you are a potential competitor of CY Leung. His JR causes popularity rating to rise, and what you do will cause your rating to drop. We don't expect someone who is more evil than CY Leung to be an legal to be the CE. We want someone kinder. You quoted what Carrie Lam said on the 30th of October. Carrie Lam sent a letter to the council, said that prior a court ruling, public officials would not respond to questions and comments made by members who have not taken their oath. She was referring to Yang Wai-ching and Leung Chung-hang. Now, it's different from the 4 cases here. There was no leave yet, and there is no ruling by the court. And what attitude is this if you're going to refuse questions from these members? CS was referring to those who have not taken their oath, but today is even before leave has been given by the court. So do not fall into the trap by CY Leung. Sari Lee. FS represent the government in answering questions here. If it is the government's decision taking legal advice, I believe it is hard for the FS to express his personal views, even if he had any. I think it is difficult to demand the FS to ignore an overall decision by the government and to tell us his personal view. I think we're putting him in a very difficult position. Whether members have taken their oath legally in accordance with the basic law, this is really a big issue of right or wrong. It is appropriate for the government to seek a JR because we have to uphold the basic law and we have to ensure that oath-taking is done in a sincerely and solemnly manner. However, even we have to act in accordance with the law, we have to be cautious. While you have considered legal advice, I think you have to also consider the operation of this council and also public interest.
The
legal proceeding will soon begin if there is such a overall decision by the government. I'm afraid that the LegCo will enter a very difficult stage. The general public saw that we have had a few aborted meetings as a result of the oath saga. Fortunately, we went back to the normal operation since last week. FS, please consider the political consideration other than the legal advice. As LegCo member, we really hope that we can come back to the normal operation of the LegCo. Like today, we're supposed to talk about the budget. We're working for the well-being of the public. Now, I hope the administration will consider the following. The JR is in process, and you've said that it doesn't mean that you give recognition to the status of the LegCo. So I think we can carry on with our business. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Mr. Chairman, Mr. John Zhang is a subordinate of C.Y. Leung. C.Y. Leung asked Carrie Lam to do something, and she has to take the order. Now, Sterry Lee was a member of the Executive Council. She was. And then Mr. Yip Kok Him is a more senior member replacing a younger member of the party representing the DAB. It is, well, did the EXCO make such a decision last Tuesday? I don't know. If it wasn't a collective decision, it means that it was a single person's decision. For his own future, he's asking everybody to follow his footsteps. So it is a like the Chinese emperor Xu Wendi, and who built a grand canal. So he's a tyrant. So C.Y. Leung is trying to bet on our mood and our thinking. He would try to introduce a lot of chaos so that everybody is confused, everybody is unhappy, and then the public would think that it's better to kick out all the legislators. So it's a matter of a choice between listening to our conscience and ignorance. I know it. Now, he's saying that if we don't give them up, if we don't allow the heads to roll, then the LegCo can't operate. Even for King Solomon's story, the real mother would not allow her baby to be killed. Now, this C.Y. Leung is the other mother, the fake mother, no virtues, no. He would rather kill everybody, the legislature, the society of Hong Kong. Your time is up. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, please stop talking. For this topic, many members, Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Now, for this issue, many members have already spoken. So finally, who would like to speak, please raise your hand. If not, yes, Abraham Shack. Chair, I support what the FS has said. It is up to him to exercise his right to answer or not. Article 73(2), officials have to answer questions. But in relation to the 4 lawmakers who have been challenged, and the court is going to make a decision about that. So they are not lawmakers exercising lawmakers' rights here. Now the FS doesn't have to answer their questions. Leung Kwok Hong. Leung Kwok Hong, please stop talking. I think that's it for this issue. I too feel that for the FS not to take the questions, I think he has his own views. Maybe we can ask our clerk to speak. Thank you, Chair. As the clerk to this committee, to this panel, just now, some members have said that the FS is responsible for the 2 items. Well, other than the FS, who is responsible for the 2 items, there is the latest economic situation as well as the 2017-18 budget. There are also 2 other items. That is consultation on measures to counter base erosion and profit shifting, as well as legislative proposals to enhance the position limit regime. For these 2 items, just now I have asked the relevant public officers and asked about their position. My information is that they're going to follow the line taken by the FS. All right. Many members have spoken. They've asked questions. FS, what is your reply? Thank you, Chairman. Just now, I gave you the position of the administration. The DFJ gave me clear legal advice, that is, I should not answer the questions of those 4 lawmakers. So the FS is clear. Can we move on? Dennis Kwok. Just now, I have asked to move a motion to adjourn. I don't think I need to add anything. Just now, members have already clearly spoken their mind. A motion to adjourn. Any comments? Let's put the matter to the vote. Any comments? Poor Chair. Poor Chair. Chairman. Just now, many members have talked about their unhappiness with the FS refusal to speak. I can understand. According to our own legal advice, I think indeed it is something very controversial. But I know this is one of the reasons. That is, they're not happy with the FS not answering the questions. But other than that, do we have other reasons to move a motion to adjourn? Is it also because of this very controversial position of the FS? If yes, then I want to listen to such viewpoints. Leung Kwok Hong. C.Y. Leung has claimed that he has the duty to protect the solemnity of the basic law. Now, he has got the duty from the people, and he should exercise his decision to work for the people. Now, according to Article 3, the FS should answer questions. First of all, to examine and approve budgets introduced by the government. Today we talk about the budget. 73.5 to raise questions on the work of the government, including your position today, and also subparagraph 6 to debate any issue concerning public interests. So they are constitutional powers and functions, and yet this is being preceded and prevailed over by Rim-Si Yun's decision. If you want to disqualify us, please apply for an injunction. I will invite Rim-Si Yun, the Secretary for Justice, to do it once and for all, apply for an injunction immediately, and stop the 4 legislators as well as others he thought he would like to disqualify us, so that we won't be given their powers and functions. Do that rather than do anything that is unlawful and unconstitutional. I'm fully confident to face the legal action to be raised by Rim-Si Yun. Before you have leave, you can still ask for an injunction. You can apply for an injunction to stop legally and lawfully elected legislators from exercising their functions. I'm not protecting your constitutional powers and functions. Would like to speak, Mr. Abraham Sheck. Today, we have to exercise our functions. 73.2. That is to examine and approve budgets introduced by the government, and the FS comes here for this purpose. Now today, I think the FS has the right to answer or not to answer our questions. If because of this we are saying that we shouldn't be having a meeting, I don't think such legislators are accountable to their constituents. Sorry, speaker is off mic. Leung Kwok Hong, your time is up. Next, KK Kwok, Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. I think it's better not to have an argument with you. Mr. Chairman, is it my turn? Would you like to read out the names? There's plenty of time. KK Kwok. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Abraham Shek has been a legislator for a long time. There's no need for us to teach him. Of course, we want to have a meeting. But then today, the administration has done something which is against the basic law, namely the powers and functions given to the legislators. We can't tolerate it. We can't allow them to encroach upon our powers and functions. Even for the pro-establishment camp, you are a legislator. Even though you have been elected by a small circle, you are still a legislator. If CY Leung doesn't like you, he wants to JR you, and then you will be disqualified. And you come here and still you don't get your questions answered, and then the FS and other public officers will say that they don't answer your questions. Can we still function? Can we still have meetings? What are we going to do? They will be selective in answering our questions. If they don't like us, and then all of us will be JR'd. I think if Rim Si Yuen can do it and will do it, so will and so can CY Leung. It means that we'll be brought to a standstill. I hope even the pro-establishment camp lawmakers will think about it. This will apply to you equally as us. You are paid a remuneration and you have to discharge your functions and powers. Don't say anything that is so ignorant, saying that you very much want to have a meeting. We've been trying to have a meeting since this morning. Had it not been for FS words, we would have been talking about the budget, we would have been talking about the economic situation. Of course, we want to have a meeting, but then we have been maimed and we have been disabled, and someone has resorted to illegal means to disrespect the rule of law. If we allow this to happen, things just can't move on, just can't go on. We don't even have the right to vote, and you will say that even the 4 members don't enjoy the right to vote. So we have to defend the powers given to us under Article 73 of the Basic Law. It is not personal. Your time is up. Mr. Wu Chi-wai. Well, the FS is saying that he will be selective in answering our questions. It is a major question of principles. If the FS can choose not to answer the questions of a member who has been duly sworn in, well, there hasn't been a court decision, and before that the FS is already doing this. Obviously, this is against the basic law, and obviously it means that we cannot monitor the performance of the government. Now we have to move an adjournment debate. This is because we hope that by adjourning the meeting, the FS can go back and think thoroughly about the matter so that you can come up with a decision which is lawful and reasonable. Now, Mr. Paul Chen made a statement, but at most he was saying that he would reserve his rights. Today, you have gone beyond what he has decided to do. You made it clear that you won't answer questions from members who have been made the subject of the JR of the government. As long as we are a legislator, we are able to exercise the powers in Article 73 of the Basic Law and defend and protect the rights and interests of the people of Hong Kong. Yet you are taking the lead to choose not to answer our questions. So you are taking the lead to destroy the electrical, and you are taking away our powers. It is constitutional. It is something we can't compromise. So we want to adjourn the meeting so that the FS can go back and consider the matter thoroughly and consider whether you want to withdraw and retract what you have said. Because like your for the statement you have made, other public officers would follow suit. In other words, once this has been established, then all others will refuse to answer the questions from members on a selective basis. Next, Edward Yu. Chairman, in fact, I've prepared very important questions to be put to the FS, like the accuracy of the information in the information and whether the measures are appropriate. So it is very important for me to do this so as to exercise or discharge my duties. If he doesn't answer my questions, it means that I'm not able to point out the problems in the speech given by the FS, like the accuracy of the information. As members have pointed out, I'm here to discharge the duty under Article 73, bracket 2. So I need to justify my allegation. I have to point out whether the information is accurate and whether the arguments are logical. So I do have questions, and I want to put the questions to the FS so as to facilitate my colleagues here to decide whether to sort of give approval or not. So if he doesn't answer my questions, there will be problems, and then the consequences could be very serious. Fernando Zhang. According to Article 64 of the Basic Law, the government of Hong Kong SAR must abide by the law and accountable to the legislature of the region. It shall implement laws passed by the council and it shall present regular policy addresses, and it shall answer questions raised by members. So I want to make it clear to Abraham Shack, you've been a member for so many years, and yet you don't know that the government must answer our questions. If you don't know, then please go back and read Article 64 of the Basic Law again. Today, our FS has come here, and yet he's saying that he will not answer the questions of the 4 members whose qualification has been queried. So a decision or a judgment is being made before the court hears the case. Mr. Shack, don't confuse the issue. Now, the administration is making it clear. The administration is not going to answer the questions of some members. The government is not saying that it is dodging the issue. The government has made it clear that the government is making a decision that the 4 members have been disqualified. Is it up to the government to make such a judgment without a court hearing? Mr. Chairman, today we are here to talk about many important livelihood issues, and we have also got many questions concerning poverty. Now, for the information given to us, in fact, I have a lot of queries. And for today, we would like to move a motion to adjourn. We want to give the administration this opportunity to withdraw immediately the position that has been announced so that the legislature can continue to operate. Otherwise, I have to say that this is a matter of principles, and we must not allow the administration to blatantly violate the basic law and show disrespect or contempt towards the legislature. Next, Jeffrey Lam. Or should it be my turn? Mr. Jeffrey Lam, and then Mr. Chen Tin-po. Chair, well, the FS has already expressed his view. There are different panels. For the economic situation as well as the budget, I think we have got many questions. There are many things that we want to ask the administration about. This is what the public expects us to do. If we deprive members opportunity to ask questions, and if we deprive the public the opportunity to get answers from the FS, it is not fair to the people of Hong Kong. Now, the FS has said that for the members who are being JR'd, the FS is saying that he's not going to answer their questions. I respect his view over this matter. Let's not confuse everything. There are issues that are of close concern to the members of the public. Let's not allow political issues to overshadow them. Therefore, if there is a proposal to adjourn the meeting, it means that we are going to affect this arrangement. We have heard many different views. Chairman, I suggest that let's have another break of 10 minutes so that we can have a discussion of the matter. Chair, before you deal with the motion, I suggest that you give us another 10-minute break so that we can discuss the motion. Yes, I'll give the floor to other members first.
Mr. Chan Kim-po, just now the legal advisor of the LegCo has made it clear. His view is that it should not affect the authority of the 4 legislators. It's a difficult question whether to adjourn the meeting for another 10 minutes because it will affect other meetings and we need the cooperation of other members. So I do think that we need 10 minutes so that we can decide on how we're going to vote. Next, Mr. Porter. Well, given the application, I will reserve my right to speak until later. Mr. Kenneth Leung. I will speak later. If we are going to have a 10-minute break for further discussion. Mr. Leung Kwok-Kung, let me speak. Well, C.Y. Leung wants to have everything done before the decision of the court in January. It is his cunning trick. Some members think what the FS said is wrong. And here it is the C.Y. Leung's trick to create the situation so that he can tell the court to expedite the hearing. Let me finish. Well, perhaps, there is no need to have a break of 10 minutes, to adjourn 10 minutes. Let's adjourn for 10 minutes.